Should you script your podcast or should you just wing it? This is the question every podcaster faces as they're beginning their podcast kind of content creation journey. In this video, we're going to answer that question definitively for you and your specific use case. Hey there, Craig Hewitt here from Castos. We help you build better podcasts. In this video, we're going to be talking all about scripting and preparing to record great content for your show. So the question always comes up when we're talking to our Castos Productions customers, like, hey, how much should I prepare? How much should I script or outline or write out the content I'm going to create for my podcast? And really, this is a very personal decision that you need to make, and how comfortable you are talking to the camera and speaking into the microphone versus kind of winging it, riffing, whatever kind of term you want to use, right? There are definitely benefits to both. I'll say scripting, if you can and if you have the time, will definitely give you better content in the end, right? You will be able to think through and write out everything that you want to say, and every word will be perfect. Every word will be intentional, as opposed to what I'm doing right now, which is I have an outline on the screen here, and I'm following that outline, but I'm also kind of coming up with things on my own just based on the kind of 10 years that I've been podcasting and working with podcasters every day. So first of all, I think it's a personal decision. How comfortable are you with kind of coming up with this on the fly? Or how much do you feel like you need to really have every single point nailed before you turn the camera on and start rolling? If you're going to script, it also introduces another piece of kind of hardware, which is typically something like a teleprompter. So if you have a script on the screen that you're going to be reading from, you still want to make eye contact with the camera. What you don't want to be doing is looking down at your script every couple of seconds and then back at the camera and then down and then back up. Think about a newscaster or somebody like that, right? They're reading from a teleprompter and looking at the camera at the same time. And I can tell you, having a teleprompter that is collecting dust over here on the corner, it is a very, very, very hard thing to do, even for someone like myself, who's probably got 500 podcast episodes under their belt. So while scripting is really great in being able to define every last word that you're going to say, to me, the then delivery of that message gets a lot harder. Conversely, having an outline and a general sense of what I want to say in an episode or in a video like this gives me a little more flexibility to say, okay, I'm not going in totally unprepared. Like I don't have zero clue what I'm going to say, but I also give myself kind of the freedom to wander a bit within the guidelines and the rails maybe of that outline that I established. Because what happens when you turn the camera on is you get a little dumb, right? The pressure's on, the film is rolling, if you will, and your ability to think really consistently and coherently diminishes quite a bit, which is why I really like having some kind of structure in place for you to refer to when you realize, hey, I'm a little lost. I don't really know where this is going. I don't know where I want to go from here. You can pause, look off camera at your script and say, oh, that's right, I wanted to make this point next. Here's how I do it, both for these videos, the majority of these videos, and for my podcast episodes. I'll say for an interview-based show, because I think that's pretty representative across the spectrum of types of formats that you could have for your podcast. There's like a solo monologue, there's a co-host, there's an interview show, and there's like a narrative podcast. To me, like an interview show is somewhere in between where you need to be relatively prepared, but you also can wing it. I write out the entire intro script that I'll say. So as I'm researching the guest, I'll put some notes into a Google Doc about the person and the things they've done and the things that are interesting and why that might be relative to my audience. I'll make sure I know their name and how to pronounce it. And I'll know how to guide people to them and to find out more about them. Once I have the outline for the intro done, I'll just have a few bullet points, anywhere from a couple to 3 to maybe 10, depending on how long something will be. These are the topics that I want to discuss or the steps that I want to take if I'm doing more of a tutorial. Maybe think about the scenes that you'll shoot. And then I'll just go through and I'll shoot those. And then the most important is like a CTA or any ad bits or anything like that. Have those and hit those very concisely. So I typically script those out entirely, and I'll do my best to read them or refer to my notes on the screen and speak those right into the camera. So for the most part, I do a bit of a hybrid. I definitely script some things out. I definitely just have an outline and kind of riff as I go, mostly because I don't want to take the time to script something entirely. I don't feel like that extra time is necessarily worth it to me in terms of like, I don't feel like I get that much better of a piece of content out of it if I do that. And it's something like 2 or 3 extra hours for a 20-minute episode, maybe. And then I find it very difficult to speak to a teleprompter, and it keeps me from creating content versus making it easier. So a format like this, where I have an outline, I kind of know what I want to say, and then I speak into the camera, lets me create more content easier, faster. And I think it's 80% as good as if I could create content, was able to speak into a teleprompter well, and had the time to script everything. So for me, not scripting, not using a teleprompter, organizing my thoughts, and generally having what I want to say laid out, and then winging it and riffing and speaking from the heart and looking into the camera is a win for me. But this is very dependent on you, your personality type, maybe the types of things you're talking about, how experienced you are maybe with a teleprompter. So I encourage you to experiment with both, find out what works best for you. If you have any questions, drop a comment in below. We'd love to help you out. If you'd like to learn more about what we do, head over to castos.com to learn more about how we can help you on your podcasting journey.